President Trump is saying that his warning to Israel has worked out in his favor.
The president wrote on Truth Social, Israel is not going to attack Iran. All planes will turn around and head home while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran. Nobody will be hurt. The ceasefire is in effect. Trump had wrote on Truth Social this morning, Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do, it is a major violation. Bring your pilots home now. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States.
This entire episode stemmed from Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz saying that Iran had violated the agreement. Katz said he had ordered a strike on Tehran in response, despite Iran's armed forces general staff having denied any such violation.
Trump then lashed out at the two countries, even going so far as to drop an expletive. Let's watch.
I didn't like plenty of things I saw yesterday. I didn't like the fact that Israel unloaded right after we made the deal. They didn't have to unload. And I didn't like the fact that the retaliation was very strong. But in all fairness, Israel unloaded a lot. And now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
Per Reuters, the last round of strikes before the ceasefire killed 4 people in southern Israel, and Iranian officials said that 9 people were killed in northern Iran. Reuters also reports that sources say Qatar secured Tehran's agreement to the ceasefire and that 3 Trump officials were in contact with the Iranians.
Iran had fired missiles into the US's largest Middle East military base, which is indeed in Qatar. Nobody was hurt, and Trump thanked Tehran for warning about those strikes beforehand.
Israel says that Iran had launched 3 missiles after the ceasefire went into effect, but that they caused no casualties nor did any damage. The Israeli Air Force then destroyed a radar array in Tehran. The Israeli Prime Minister's office says that Israel was refraining from further strikes after Prime Minister Netanyahu's call with Trump. So hopefully we get a ceasefire, an end to hostilities that actually sticks here. Trump, in colorful language, is getting at the heart of the difficulty, which is that we're talking about countries, governments that have been in conflict for a very, very long period of time, that often want to attack each other. And then I guess my question to Trump, if I was out there this morning chatting with him in front of the helicopter, would be, well, then why are we involved? If as you seem to recognize, and I agree, they just want to fight each other, can we get out of their way? I mean, it's not. I mean, we can try to structure diplomacy, but we shouldn't be fighting one side's wars for them. We're just going to get drawn into an endless conflict as well, which it kind of sounds like Trump is once again realizing maybe his detour from the I don't want to get involved in more Middle East wars, peace, no new wars. He took a little neocon detour last couple of weeks. Maybe he's back on track now.
Look, I mean, the intractability of the conflict is obviously a huge problem. There are legitimate reasons, I would argue, for that intractability. It's not just that the peoples are somehow sort of ethnically warlike.
Yeah.
There are reasons for that. But it is, I mean, it's a conflict that has gone on. I mean, you can draw the starting line almost anywhere for that conflict, and it still continues. The one thing I would say in relation to this, and I am so often very critical of Trump, but a public rebuke by an American president of the Israelis, you literally do love to see it, and it is very rare for it to happen.
Sure.
And I think that he was quite right in saying what he said, and it is one of those interesting ones where you can never tell exactly where he is going to come down on certain issues. He seems to feel rightly that he is sort of personally invested in the success of this ceasefire because there have been some of the criticisms that we have already discussed. I think he wants it to be this situation where there was a brief US involvement in the conflict directly in terms of US warplanes. That's now over with. There's now going to be a ceasefire. He can claim success. He does not want that endangered by either side, and I think that's why he is more inclined to criticize Israel.
His statement about thanking Iran for letting us know where the missiles were coming from was great. It was just so Trumpy, and speaks to Iran, I guess, not wanting to escalate this conflict, which is a good thing. that also then does make me, I think it's inevitable that you consider, if Iran's government is savvy enough or interested in its own survival enough to not want greater conflict with the U.S., such that they warn us what they're going to hit so that no one gets hurt, so that it's just for show. If they can think all that through, how can we possibly square that with the idea that it's a genocidal Islamic extremist regime that will nuke Israel and trigger World War III, and including have itself completely obliterated the second they have a nuclear weapon? Sure. I don't think it's possible to square those two facts.
No, and this came out in that viral conversation between Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz, where Tucker, to be fair, was bringing out this weird contradiction where the people who wanted essentially war with Iran simultaneously argue this is the most terrifying regime ever, the biggest warmonger and terrorist government anywhere in the world is going to kill us all, but it's also so weak that we can just bomb them without suffering any repercussions. So I think that was obviously a kind of nonsensical position.
And similarly, when he was saying, and they're trying to kill Trump, but they've failed, but because they're not very good at it. But they want to kill him, but they can't do it.
Right. So we have to go after them for something that they can't.
Yeah.
We don't think they have the capability of doing. Just briefly, Robby, before we run out of time on this section, one of the difficulties, I think, in talking about Trump's conduct of this crisis, like so many other things, is that he just seems to change so rapidly. I mean, just looking at the last 48 hours, on the Sunday shows with people like Vance and Rubio coming out and saying we're not interested in regime change. By Sunday night, Trump was saying, well, maybe we are actually. Then the next day, there's a ceasefire, and then there's these angry comments from him to reporters as he walks to the helicopter. It's very difficult to get a real fix on exactly where he is, and I think that does complicate matters.
I hear that. I think a Trump defender would say that's part of his negotiating strategy, and he didn't intend to actually have regime change. He writes something like that on Truth Social to spook them into wanting to make some kind of deal. I think that's what they say. So what looks like incoherence or careening from one thought to the next is part of some negotiating tactic to make them think, I'm really crazy, I could do this, but I don't want to. I want to get along, which I hope that is the case, and I hope we get some kind of lasting peace here.
I hope it is. I tend to think it is just, in fact, incoherence and chaos. We shall see.
Andrew Cuomo next up, trying to make a big comeback in New York City today. But will he be blocked by the younger progressive Zohran Mamdani? We'll get into that next.